You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend Sean Tian. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. Sean was a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. And Sean, some sad news to kick things off, but before we get to that, we do have to talk about our sponsor.
Yeah, our show is sponsored by Wisconsin's own Ticket King. For more than 30 years, they've been providing Packers tickets to Packer fans, as well as Bucks, Brewers, and Summerfest tickets. Find them on the web at theticketking.com. That's theticketking.com, or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. And you can watch every episode of No Huddle Radio on Packers Talk Network on YouTube with Gil and myself. Go to YouTube, type in Packers Talk Network in the search bar. Click on the PackersTalk.com link with the green background, the yellow goalpost. Click on the bell, subscribe, turn notifications on. And it's a good day to really turn the notifications on for. Now, we're days away from free agency. Packers, obviously, arguably, maybe with the greatest free agent signing in NFL history when they signed Reggie White. And a big part of that was former Packers president and CEO Bob Harlan. News coming down just a few minutes before we hopped on here, Gil, that Bob Harlan has passed away at the age of 89 after a brief illness. Truly a sad day. Those who aren't really familiar with Bob Harlan, you're probably very familiar with his son, Kevin Harlan, who is an outstanding play-by-play broadcaster in multiple sports, the NFL, college basketball, you name it. The guy's awesome, NBA too. His son-in-law is Sam Decker, a former basketball legend in the state of Wisconsin. His granddaughter, Olivia Harlan Decker, is also a broadcaster, very good at what she does as well. But Bob Harlan, though, passing away, Gil, you remember when Bob Harlan took over, and that's when everything changed for the Green Bay Packers, where it was a couple decades of just dormancy and really nothing good going on. And Bob Harlan turned everything completely around, and the Packers are where the Packers are at right now, probably because of Bob Harlan.
Yeah, I mean, he came on board in the presidential capacity. I believe it was 1989, if I'm not mistaken. And, 1992 was sort of the big turning point for the franchise, where you get Mike Holmgren and Brett Favre, and a year later, Reggie White, and you get Ron Wolf, and all of that stems from Harlan and his leadership. And, if you go back and look at how the Packers were perceived around the league in the 70s and 80s before Harlan took over. In fact, I think I even referred you to an article in Sports Illustrated in 1987 that questioned whether the Packers were a viable team in the NFL going forward because of how badly things were going for the team. And Harlan just changed all of that and got this team from the wilderness, so to speak, to the promised land. And, the Packers would not be where they are today, and now have enjoyed more than 3 decades of consistently winning football and have solidified themselves, as a profitable enterprise that is an integral part of Green Bay and the county and the state of Wisconsin and really the whole country and beyond. The brand doesn't have the same cachet without the contributions of Harlan and when he took over as president. So obviously our condolences to Bob Harlan's family and friends. And wow, 89 years old is an impressive life, but what he did during those 89 years for the Packers organization and for Packers fans just deserves a lot of respect.
He set up the franchise for the better. He really did. He was a visionary. And the thing is, it's like, you hear the old phrase, you want to leave something in a better spot than when you found it. Bob Harlan absolutely did that times infinity. I mean, he really did.
Yeah, big time.
He set up Mark Murphy for success. Mark Murphy took that to the franchise to a whole new level. You hope Ed Policy does the same thing now that he's in charge as the president and the CEO of the team. But Bob Harlan, I think the big thing, my understanding is what he did so well is he focused on the business part of the Packers, and then he let football people take care of the football stuff. And it's been that way ever since, where he didn't meddle. He wasn't inappropriately involved. He maybe got involved when it was a key decision that the team had to make. The recruitment of Reggie White, Bob Harlan had a lot to do with that.
Yes.
And I heard Bob Harlan and Ron Wolf speak, and I've told you this, Gil. I've talked about this a lot of times. I heard them speak years ago at a football coaching clinic. Those two, Bob Harlan could have stayed there all day, and you could have asked him questions all day, and he would have. He was so candid. He was so friendly, but you learned so much, and he had just wonderful stories. And talking about the recruitment of Reggie White, how him and Ron Wolf are sitting with Reggie White in a Red Lobster, trying to get him to Green Bay.
Yeah,
but somehow they did it, even in a Red Lobster. That was the magic of Bob Harlan, and man, you got nothing but good things to say about him because of. I don't know if the Packers are still here if Bob Harlan doesn't take over in the late 80s.
Yeah, no, he was a difference maker and changed the outlook and the significance of the Green Bay Packers for the better. And realistically, you look at the 25 years before he took over and then the 25 years after he became president of the organization, it's like night and day.
Lambeau Field is so different looking too. Just said they've kind of. I mean, people have said they've kind of Disney-fied it in a way, which is kind of fair. But I mean, they held the NFL draft there last year. They held the NFL draft where obviously they couldn't hold as many people as Detroit or some of these other bigger cities. But man, I was at the draft last year, Gil. You know that for that weekend, and it was phenomenal. And you couldn't help but think now looking back in hindsight, it's like this isn't possible without Bob Harlan. Mark Murphy obviously was the big catalyst behind it, but this wouldn't happen without Bob Harlan. And obviously, Bob Harlan was such a huge impact on the Packers. There's no good way to segue out of this. Obviously, we got to move on to some Packer talk, to some free agency talk, some draft crush talk real quick, new special teams coordinator. But I just want to say rest in peace, Bob Harlan. My condolences to the Harlan family. Packer fans are so grateful for you. His family is probably not going to hear this, but I'm so grateful for Bob Harlan because of the life I've had as a Packer fan. It's better than most fans have had for their respective teams.
Yeah, and just may his memory always be for a blessing. It's sad to lose him after everything he's done.
Yeah, and we turn now to the Packers right now, moving forward since this heavy hearts obviously probably in that organization. Brian Gutekunst, the general manager, has got a lot of work to do ahead of time. He worked for Bob Harlan, obviously, for a brief time before Mark Murphy took over. But free agency is right around the corner, Gil. There's a lot of decisions the Packers got to be made. They did reportedly agree to a 2-year contract this week with Packers running back Chris Brooks. My opinion, great decision to keep him. Excellent pass protector, can give you something in the passing game as well. And he's a decent runner on the backfield if need be. But some decisions pending for the Packers to be tendered or not. We're just going to run through this real quick, Gil. If you think that they should keep him or let him walk, we can just keep it as brief as that. Let's start with Brenton Cox Jr. Most of his season last year marred by injury, but he obviously has a lot of talent. Was a 5-star recruit in college. He made the team as an undrafted rookie free agent. Do you keep him or do you let him walk?
I would keep him.
100%. I'm with you there too. I keep him. Jonathan Ford, who was previously with Green Bay, then he left Green Bay, then he came back to Green Bay because of all the injuries on the D-line. Do you keep him or you let him walk?
I let him walk, and if nobody claims him, you could always sign him for league minimum and bring him back to training camp as a training camp body.
That's exactly my thinking right there, Gil. Darian Kennard, they traded for him right before the season last year. I talked about how I thought he was very valuable to the Packers O-line depth a season ago. My obvious answer is to keep him. What do you think?
Keep him. I liked what he did. Just don't give him the football. That's all.
Yeah, don't give him the football. Yeah, geez, I mean, golly, that's what. Oh my gosh. We're not going to talk about it. Aaron Mosby, he was the training camp darling a couple of years ago, but he's been kind of on and off the roster since then. Keep him or let him walk?
I do the same thing as Jonathan Ford. Wouldn't prioritize him, but if he's still around when training camp is open and you need a body at that position, the thing is the Packers have a lot of bodies at that position. So I kind of think let him walk.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's the same thing as Jonathan Ford. Let him walk, but keep him for the minimum, especially because Micah Parsons is going to be rehabbing from an ACL injury.
Right.
So you need that body there maybe in that outside linebacker edge room. And then tight end Josh Wiley did some decent things last year, but battled some concussions, battled some injuries like everybody on the Packers did last year. Keep him or let him walk?
Depends on what else is out there. I'm more than happy to bring him back, but if you get something better, no need.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Packers are going to add a tight end this offseason. I don't know if it's going to be in free agency or the draft, but I think they are going to add to that room for sure, especially with Tucker Kraft coming back from his ACL injury as well. And then now contracts that were not tendered, now they're set to become free agents. There's a couple players on this list. Let's start with the defensive side of the ball, safety Zane Anderson. Do you bring him back possibly on a cheaper deal, or do you just let him walk? He's a steady special teamer. He can fill in at safety in a pinch. What do you think, Gil?
I'd bring him back, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money to do it. And I think part of it is I associate him very much with Rich Bisaccia. And you now have a new special teams coordinator. I would let the special teams coordinator make that decision.
He kind of strikes me though as like his skill set. He could be like the Matthew Slater for the Patriots that was for the new special teams coordinator. But who knows? That's a lot to live up to. Matthew Slater was one of the best when he played on special teams. I think you bring him back for the minimum if you can. I think that's a solid body to bring back. Running back Emmanuel Wilson. He was their second running back last year. He's set to be a free agent. Do you bring him back or do you let him walk?
Seems to me like they're going to let him walk, or at least let him explore the market. And if he comes back without a deal, you could always sign him for cheaper. And I think I like Emmanuel Wilson. I like him as an RB2, but could you upgrade that position for cheaper? Probably. And that's probably what they're going to do.
I think you keep him unless you are certain that Marshawn Lloyd can actually contribute next year.
So you keep him.
Yeah. But don't break the bank for him, obviously.
No, that's the thing. He will most likely get an offer from some other team for more than the Packers want to pay.
Yeah, if anything, I think the Packers are doing a service for him not tendering him and let him explore the market to see what he can get. Yeah. So I'm with you there, Gil. Now the exclusive rights free agents. These are players with 2 or fewer years experience, but they have expiring contracts. And the Packers can issue 1-year contract tenders to these players, which is the value of the league minimum for the player's experience level. And if they're tendered, that player can only negotiate a new contract with the Packers. Most exclusive rights free agents typically sign their tenders and return. It's not a lot of money it doesn't break the bank really for the teams who are negotiating these deals too. So there's a few guys on this list. Cornerback Kamal Hadden, keep or let walk?
Keep.
I'm with you there too. He had a really good camp, and I think there's something there possibly. And if you're going to pay him league minimum, I'm cool letting him stay put. Donovan Jennings.
Yeah, keep. Bring him to camp. If he shows you something, he can make the practice squad. He can make the roster. If he doesn't, you're signing him for the minimum. Why not?
I'll trust the Packers with this decision. He was their bonus baby of their undrafted rookie class a couple of years ago. Maybe there's still something there that they like. Bo Melton. Obviously, we've seen him a lot on offense. He's supposedly a corner, but we didn't see him play a snap a corner in the regular season or the playoffs. Do you keep him or do you let him walk?
Well, the injury is the issue with Bo Melton because he's not likely going to be ready to start the season. I like to keep him around just for his versatility because of his work ethic. But, when is he going to be ready, I guess? He probably starts the season on the pup.
I think you keep him and only if you're all in on trying to train him at corner. honestly. And then he can play receiver, but I want to see him actually get some run at corner more than just kind of last minute.
And he could do special teams also.
Yep, and that's a huge contributory factor too. And then lastly, interior O-lineman Lasita Smith, keep or let walk.
You might as well keep him and let him compete for a job, but I can't say I'm overly enthused.
I'm with you there too. There's not a lot of talent at that interior line spot for the Packers right now. So that's going to be a competitive spot coming up this offseason for sure. Yeah. Now let's get to the unrestricted free agents. These are the big names that most of you probably recognize right away. Let's start with tight end John Fitzpatrick. Tore his Achilles last year. He was the third tight end. Did some good things, but he's going to be coming off a really serious injury. Do you keep him or do you let him walk?
I like what I saw from him in the limited, in that role, though. Do I think he has the ability to become like a starter one day in the NFL? Probably not. But the injury just concerns me because, again, he's not going to be ready to start the season. And where do you go from there?
I'm with you where it's just, but I think you keep him only if it's for the minimum. If they let him explore the market and they offer him more than the minimum, good for him.
Go.
But I doubt it with the injury. I think they could bring him back pretty easily.
Yep.
Linebacker Nick Neiman, they brought him in right before the season, mainly a special teams guy. Did have a torn pec last year that he came back from. Do you keep or you let him walk?
I'm willing to keep him around, but again, close to the minimum.
Yep, keep for the minimum. I'm with you there too. Cornerback Trayvon Diggs, obviously a big name. His play has tanked dramatically since his early days with the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of familiarity with Micah Parsons. He was previously an All-Pro, but it just seems like he's lost it. They did let him go essentially to make sure they didn't pay him $15 million at the start of the league year. It's good business. Trayvon Diggs is an interesting decision. Do you keep him or try to keep him, or do you let him walk?
I'd be willing to bring him back, but not at anything close to $15 million. I mean, if he's willing to play for $4 or $5 million, maybe even less, then I would bring him back. But I'm not breaking the bank for a guy who's been on the downside for the last 2 or 3 years.
I don't think he has much of a market. So I think even if the Packers offer him $3 million, I think they could get him back for that, or whatever the minimum is for a guy of his stature and his experience and everything like that. I think you can get him back for close to the minimum. If you can, why not? It's all risk reward. There's no risk. There's a lot of potential reward. So
and we need help. We need help at corner. So yeah. Next
up, offensive guard center Sean Ryan. Interesting decision the Packers had to make here, Gil, because I think he's gonna have a little bit of a market. I don't know if the Packers are completely sold on him as their future center, because I think left guard and right guard are going to be Aaron Banks and Anthony Belton, respectively. What do you do with Sean Ryan?
I make him the Lucas Patrick offer. Say that you can come back. You will most likely be the number one backup at both guard positions and at center. This is what we're willing to pay you. If you think you can do better, do it. If not, sign on the dotted line and come on back.
So you don't think he's going to get something close to like what John Runyon got when he left for the Giants?
No, I don't. I don't think he's as good as Runyon was. And I mean, I could see him getting $5 or $6 million a year kind of, but maybe not. It will depend on the market. Pro Football Focus never liked him very much.
No.
Better run blocker than pass protector. I like his attitude, his toughness, his intensity. I think the team could use that on the roster, but I'm not willing to pay a lot of money to keep him.
Seems like he has fatigue issues, though, for sure. That's a bit of a problem. So, obviously, I'm with you. Give him the Lucas Patrick contract. Have him for depth. If you can get him for that, that's great. But I feel like someone's going to overpay possibly for him just because he's a big guy who can move people.
Yeah, it only takes one team to overpay, and that's the market. So, yeah.
Next, we have backup quarterback Malik Willis, who was outstanding in his 2 years in Green Bay in a backup role. He is probably going to earn himself a big payday, and the Packers are probably going to get a very nice compensatory pick in 2027 because of that. Obviously, you're going to let him walk, and I hope he gets as much money as possible in the open market because the Packers, you just can't afford to pay a backup 20, 30 million. You just can't.
No, he's going to get offers for a lot of money on the open market. You mentioned 30 million. I've heard that number being bandied about several times. And look, you can't afford that for a backup quarterback under any circumstances, but when Jordan Love is making as much money as he can, there's no way you could afford it. So, I mean, I wish Malik Willis all the luck in the world. He was a great backup quarterback for this team. I think he owes a lot to Matt LaFleur and the Packers for helping him develop, and I think they owe him a lot for helping them win some games when he was thrust into the lineup. So he's not coming back. But, boy, I'm keeping an eye on him because I really do like what he does.
Yeah, and to keep up with the theme of keep or let walk, obviously, Gil, you and I both want the Packers to keep him, but it's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for them to keep him, but you can't afford him. So,
Where do you want to see him go?
The AFC.
Yep, me too. Yeah, AFC's great. Yeah, and I think he lands in Miami. I think he's going to be reunited with Jeff Hafley and former Packers exec John Eric Sullivan. Makes the most sense to me.
It makes sense. I've heard the Jets. For his sake, I hope it's not the Jets.
No, please don't go play for Woody Johnson. No. Yeah. Miami, I think that would be a good starting point for him. Don't go to Cleveland either. Yeah. But I don't know. I think he'd be the best quarterback easily in Cleveland right now. I'm still saying I'm still out there where if I'm the Houston Texans, man, CJ Stroud has not gotten better. You saw what the Seahawks did when they upgraded from Geno to Sam Darnold. They won a Super Bowl. I don't know if Malik Willis has that effect, but I would consider it. And I think you could get pennies on the dollar compared to what you would have to pay an extension for Stroud.
Right. But if I'm Malik Willis, I'm only signing there if Stroud is gone.
Yeah. I mean, that would have to be part of the deal, obviously.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's going to be Houston's a dark horse, I'm telling you. Like, don't count them out for Malik Willis. I think he would thrive there for sure with that defense, and I think there's plenty of talent there.
You wouldn't have to do much with that defense.
No, God, no. Oh, my gosh, that defense is terrifying.
You get 20 points, you win. You know?
Yep. Just don't turn the ball over. That's it. Linebacker Quay Walker. He supposedly has deleted everything Packers on his social medias. Gil, I think because of that, and I think the way I see it, you're only going to be able to pay Quay Walker or Edgerrin Cooper. And I'd much rather save up the money to pay Edgerrin Cooper possibly next year, possibly a couple of years. So I'm very much in the let Quay Walker walk stage.
I am too. I mean, again, if the market is not there and he comes back at a very reasonable rate, would I welcome him back? Sure. But he never, in my mind, became more than serviceable or pretty good.
Yeah.
And as a first round pick, you want that guy to be really good. And his weaknesses in pass coverage, it's just not worth the contract he's likely to get on the open market. I like Quay Walker. I love the way he's matured since his rookie year. I give him a lot of credit, but I think his limitations just make it not worth the dollars it would take to keep him.
Rumors are he's going to get a minimum 10 to 15 million a year. I'm spending that money. I'm waiting to spend that money in Edgerrin Cooper. You're only going to be able to pay one of those linebackers. And thank you, Quay, but time to move on. Next up, we have offensive tackle Rasheed Walker. We've talked about where it's like, hey, he's probably one of the top 15, 20 left tackles in football, but he's not elite. You got Jordan Morgan waiting in the wings, who you drafted in round 1 a few years ago. I think Jordan Morgan is best suited to play left tackle. That's what he played in college. When he's played there in the NFL, it's been sparingly, but he's looked much more comfortable there compared to anywhere else in the O-line. Gil, I'm very much in the camp of let Rasheed Walker walk, but if you could bring him back for a discount, which I don't think is going to happen, then you bring him back. But I think it just makes sense to let him walk.
You know, the old expression is in free agency, you always have to overpay unless you're getting in one of those post-June 1st bargain. If you're getting a Devondre Campbell type, and once in a while that hits and you really cash in big. But on the first wave of free agency, having even the 15th best, let's say, or 12th best left tackle in the league available there, he's going to get offers that are just not worth what he's going to produce. And the thing about Rasheed Walker, and I like him, big story going from a 7th round pick to a 3-year starter at left tackle, the most important position on the O-line. But his final year in college, they thought he could be a 1st round pick or a day 2 pick at the least. He stumbled. He didn't play well, dropped all the way to the 7th round. This year, contract year, on the line, a lot of money. He kind of fell short, did not even live up to his own previous performances. That pattern kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I think it's just they've kind of tapped out. They've kind of maxed out what that return, which is for a 7th round pick, he's been awesome overall. But yeah, I think it's time to move on. And he's probably gonna get a 3 or 4 year deal, Gil, and he's probably gonna get $20 million a year. He will. Yeah. There's plenty of suitors waiting to pay him. There are left tackles who I don't think are as talented as Rasheed Walker, who got paid that much last year in free agency, and the money's only going up. So Rasheed Walker, yeah, I'm good letting him walk, mainly because I would rather pay elite money to guys who I'm like adamant they are elite. And I think Jordan Morgan has more of that potential than Rasheed Walker right now.
And he has 2 more years left on his rookie deal, which is even better financially. But it is a little bit of a risk. Let's face it. I mean, you also have Anthony Belton, who played tackle, was drafted as a tackle. So you have options, and I'm sure they'll draft somebody also.
Yep, they always do.
They always do, and they always should. And the other thing is you get probably between Malik Willis and Rasheed Walker, you're going to get 2 3rd-round compensatory picks unless you spend a lot of money going the other way.
And depending on what happens at free agency, maybe you could get 3 3rd-round compensatory picks,
Possibly.
because Romeo Doubs is the last one that we're going to talk about real quick. Obviously, he's set to become a free agent next week. He has a strong relationship with Jordan Love. I think he's very well loved by the players, by his teammates and the coaches in that locker room. But Gil, I think this is similar to Quay versus Edgerrin Cooper. This is very much Romeo Doubs versus Christian Watson and Tucker Kraft you have to take into account too. I would like to keep him if the deal makes sense for the Packers, but I'm very much in the camp of letting him walk, because I want to save that money for an extension for Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft. I think those guys are way more important to make sure you pay and keep in-house than Romeo Doubs right now.
Yeah, I like Romeo Doubs a lot. He is a solid, steady, productive wide receiver, probably really good as a wide receiver 2 or 3. But you've got too many guys right now and not enough money to pay him. I'd make him a decent offer, but realistically speaking, you need that money elsewhere, and you've got enough talent at the position that you don't need to pay him.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and you still have like Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed, who I haven't even mentioned either. There's a lot of talent there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually drafted a receiver coming up this offseason. Everything's on the table for the Packers for adding to this roster this offseason. Now, we will touch on the Packers' new special teams hire that they made last Friday, a day after we record our last episode, because of course they did, because our timing
right?
But the NFL Draft Combine wrapped up this past week in Indianapolis, and there are a lot of guys who stood out, a lot of high relative athletic scores, and for guys who I was kind of looking and had my eyes on a little bit beforehand, that's like, okay, now I want them to be in a Packer uniform. From last weekend, Gil, who are your top 3 draft crushes? Let's start with number 3. Go 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. I'm just not one of those guys who falls in love at the combine. I like to look at.
That's a good thing.
No, I mean, because the expression in draft talk all the time is looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, and I always think of Mike Mamula. Do you remember Mike Mamula?
Yes, I do.
I mean,
I had a card of Mike Mamula.
Okay, there you go. I mean, he had one of the best combines ever, and was a workout warrior, but wasn't a football player or wasn't a great football player. And I like to look at the big picture. I do not tend to to me, what happens at the combine is if you got two guys who are ranked similarly, the combine is your tiebreaker.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this guy was a little bit faster, or this guy was a little bit stronger, or this guy has slightly longer arms, again, depending on the position and the skill set you need. But I am not one of those guys who like looks at the combine and says, I've got to have this guy because, he bench pressed, so many reps, or he ran, a 4.29 40. I try very hard not to fall for guys like that.
That's good. That's good discipline, Gil. I will say my top. I have a top three though, and I'll chime through them real quick. So number 3 on my list is center Logan Jones from Iowa.
Yep.
He had a relative athletic score of 9.66. He's a smaller guy. He's 6'3", 299. If you want to compare it to Sean Ryan, 6'5", 321. Elton Jenkins is 6'5", 311. Packers need a center. Logan Jones, a former defensive lineman who switched to offensive line while at Iowa. He's an older prospect too, which the Packers, they're not afraid of, but they typically stay away from. And the Packers don't have a first-round pick, so this could be a possible second, third-round pick. But he turns 25 in October. But the Packers are in a situation right now where this is a very talented team that needs to win now. And maybe this is a guy who plays with a lot of effort. He plays a bit nasty. He's a smart guy. He's athletic. Clearly, the relative athletic score backs that up. Who could possibly fill in and be your starting center right away in day one and fill a huge need. So Logan Jones is someone that's on my radar.
The timing is perfect as far as you don't want to draft an older guy, but if you're going to, this would be the time and the place to do it.
Number 2 on my list is Arkansas running back Mike Washington Jr. This is the guy who dominated the combine this week.
Yes, he did.
A perfect 10 for a relative athletic score. And again, take these with a grain of salt, but typically the Packers draft guys who have historically higher relative athletic scores. So I'm just
in the early rounds, yes.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that. But he's 6'1", 223. He's a big back. Josh Jacobs, who we think of as a big back, he's 223 as well, but he's listed at 5'10". He turns 23 in July, played at Buffalo for 3 years, New Mexico State for 1 year. Then he finished at Arkansas in 2025. He averaged just under 6.5 yards a carry, ran for more than 1,000 yards, had 9 total touchdowns for the Razorbacks. And this is pretty much why this guy has a lot of explosion. I think there's a lot of excitement with him as a runner. He does have some ball security issues. You hope you can coach that out of him at the next level. But this, if Marshawn Lloyd is not going to return to the field and you don't bring back Emmanuel Wilson, this could be a guy that could go earlier than you think. And if the Packers use their second-round pick on Mike Washington Jr., some heads may explode, but this is the running back I'd want to pick with that second-round pick if they do decide to go that route.
And keep in mind that 2026 is likely Josh Jacobs' last year with the Packers.
Yep.
Just based on the way the contract is structured, based on his age, based on the wear and tear on his body. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind.
Now, chiming in on the chat, as our Showers said, Matt LaFleur said he wants to be bigger on the line. A 300-pound center is not big. I agree, but he's also got 2 big beefcakes left and right of him, and Aaron Banks and Anthony Belton Jr. Escalade. Those guys are huge. That could help compensate, especially if you want to run more zone running schemes and get your center running. Logan Jones, I'm just saying where it's like it would definitely go against the grain for what the Packers like to do on the O-line. But Logan Jones he's kind of the exception. Remember, Jair Alexander was Brian Gutekunst's first ever draft pick. He was a little bit undersized compared to what they like to draft for corners, and he was pretty good when he was in his prime. I'm just saying he could be the exception.
And the other thing is, out of all the positions on the offensive line, center is usually the lightest guy. Yep. Because you need them to be a little bit more mobile, to get to the second level a little bit more often, to have their head on a swivel after they snap the ball. So 300 pounds for a tackle or a guard would be small compared to what the Packers are trying to do. But for a center, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah, and also chiming in, I think we need a 275-pound DN like the Florida guy, Caleb Banks. Yeah, that guy's going round 1. The Packers aren't going to be able to get him.
Won't be able to get him.
His combine confirmed that. Number 1 on my list, real quick, Gil, San Diego State cornerback Chris Johnson. This guy fits the Packers T, just to a T, essentially. Yes. 9.7 relative athletic score, 21 years old, 6 feet tall, 193 pounds. Not the longest arms, but he does have big hands. He was very good at San Diego State in 47 games in his 4-year career there, 6 interceptions, including 4 last year, and 2 of those returned for touchdowns. He had 9 pass deflections last year, 5 forced fumbles in his career. He played his best football last season. He's a young guy still, Gil, tested extremely well at the combine, and the Packers need so much help at outside corner. This guy could fill the need. I am hoping if the Packers go corner, he falls to them at pick 52. I don't know if he's going to be available. I think there's a chance he sneaks in late round 1, but this is the guy. I'm telling you, circle this name right now, Chris Johnson, corner, San Diego State. If this guy's available, you got to hope that he falls to Green Bay, or Green Bay can get within reach of getting him, because he'd be awesome.
I could even see him trying to trade up a few spots if he's on the board, but we'll see. We have about a month and a half to get to that point.
He just feels like a Packer, like he's destined to be a Packer with how much they need cornerback help. But
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. Gil, we're going to wrap up with some trivia in just a bit, but real quick, what articles do you have coming up online for the Packers Post and Cheesehead TV?
Well, for the Packers Post, I'm starting to preview free agency, so looking at maybe some players who might fit. And for Cheesehead, I talked about, the decision. When do you extend Tucker Kraft? Do you do it this offseason, or do you wait until you see how that, knee responds post-injury? So I sort of took a look at that.
He's so important, man. And I think Tucker Kraft is going to be a guy who's going to crush the ACL recovery like Christian Watson did. So, and I think Micah Parsons will too. That's at least cross my fingers. So, how about the trivia?
Trivia. Let's do it.
All right. Well, the Packers, they have a new special teams coordinator. We didn't really touch on it a little bit. We didn't have time to touch on it this episode. His name's Cam Acorn. He started his coaching career as a graduate assistant linebackers coach at the University of Southern Miss. Previously, he was the coordinator for the New England Patriots, special teams under Bill Belichick in his final 4 years there. But when he started his career at Southern Miss, he was there for 2 years in 2010 to 2011. He was there at the same time as a former Packer draft pick. Gil, which former Packers draft pick was at Southern Miss the same time as Acorn?
Offense or defense?
Defense. And it's very hard to remember this guy because he actually never played a snap in Green Bay. Yeah. He's drafted in 2014. I'll give you that.
Okay. Drafted in 2014. Defense.
And he was on the D-line. Because this is a hard one. This is 12 years ago. And he did not play a down. Okay. I see. He was a defensive lineman, right? Yes.
And he got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, he was injured. He was on IR his entire rookie year, and then the Packers let him go after his rookie year.
Yeah, you're talking about Kyrie Thornton.
That is it, Gil. Defensive tackle Kyrie Thornton. Acorn and Thornton were at Southern Miss at the same time during Thornton's freshman and sophomore seasons, where Thornton amassed 30 tackles for loss in his career, 5.5 sacks in 4 years with the Eagles before the Packers selected him with the 85th overall pick in the 3rd round of the 2014 draft. And yeah, again, Thornton never played one snap for the Packers, missed his entire rookie season with an injury. Packers let him go after his rookie year. He played in 23 games then for the division rival Lions from 2015 through 2017. He had 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss, forced 1 fumble, and 28 total tackles in his career. So there you go. Kyrie Thornton is he kind of has a tie to Cam Acorn, at least from his early coaching days. So
that's a good question. That is a very good question.
So, that's a very good answer. I'm surprised you got it.
I was surprised I got it too. It just popped. It just popped into my head.
Got to go deep into the role, deep into the memory.
It's in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, somewhere. You just got to fish it out.
Fish it out. There you go. All right. Well, that's it for us today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter at @GillPackers and @GBPackersOn. Stay up to date on all things Packers, or to ask us questions. Or you can email us at gbpackerssean@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribed to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show. Thank you for listening. Until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.